Today I'm on Tropico 6 and I'm going to become the most evil and corrupt dictator as possible on my own island nation. It's not going to be easy, but through slavery, a strong military, and ignoring the wants and needs of my people, I'm going to turn my island into a superpower whether my citizens like it or not. To start, I'll be playing on the Acts of God map. What really caught my eye here is the giant volcano in the middle of the map. I'll be starting off in the World Wars era, the second of 4, because I want to immediately be able to make my citizens' lives worse. To make life harder on the island, political difficulty will be set to aggressive, opposition difficulty will be strong, and disasters such as a volcano will be on frequent. Before we get started, we have 2 laws to set. In general, I will always be looking to take the worst possible option and make everyone mad at me. So for voting, only the wealthy will be able to vote. However, I don't plan on anyone being wealthy. And for armed forces, that will be set to militia so we can have strength in numbers. Everyone's replaceable anyway. Here's our starting town here, not too much to see. We are very close to the volcano, so I'm not complaining there. Looking through our buildings, here we have our construction office, our Teamster office, which will transport goods. But other than those buildings, I say we just get rid of all this mess, including a church, housing, and a tavern. Now we're going to start off our economy through plantations. Taking a look at the crops here, where we are is ideal for corn, but that doesn't make much money, so I'm not interested. The one thing I know that makes good money from the beginning is sugar being turned into rum. Now, unfortunately, there's not much potential on this island for sugar, but every other island is very green. So step 1, we're going to evacuate this island and move to the one next to us. Here's a castle, by the way. I went for a dark and dreary look, and I boarded up the windows beforehand, just in case my population starts to resist. And for my character, El Presidente, I tried to make him look like a certain historical figure of the past, and for his trait, he'll be seductive, which will help turn men into rebels. I'm going to move my palace onto the new island onto the least fertile land possible, and the new plantations will be going onto the greenest land possible for maximum efficiency, and I'll add another sugar plantation for good measure. Back at the original island, people are scrambling all over the place. Shacks have already started to pop up, and one of them is on fire, so I think we're off to a good start. And I didn't really consider a method of transporting my people to the new island, but I'm glad to see that they've started to figure it out themselves by swimming, although I will need to make a Teamster dock so we can set up buildings on the new island. And oh goody, they're already running over the unemployed. And for our first leadership message, it's a dual demand between the communist and militarist. I don't care if anyone is happy with me, so I'm going to tell them both to kindly fuck off. My next message was from the Axis leader Erich von Strom, and I do need to pick a side here eventually between the Axis and Ally powers to progress to the Cold Wars, and I think the Axis powers and I have some similar interests, so we're going to accept his demands to buy some goods from him. Things have been progressing nicely. El Presidente made his trip to his new home. I've moved over some buildings and started to destroy the old town. Now that I've deleted every possible building on this island, I can only assume that the remaining people here will either die of sorta natural causes or swim over to civilization. We have 88 people right now, so I think that problem will just sort of work itself out. We have 2 sugar plantations already functioning, but I'm not interested in sugar. That doesn't make enough money. I'm interested in rum. So I'm gonna place my first rum distillery. This isn't the best placement, but I don't want to waste fertile ground right now, so that's gonna sit right in front of the palace. I also moved around a couple buildings to the side of the palace because I have a new goal in mind. I'm hoping that these shacks will surround my palace and act as a human shield in the case of an attack. And look at that, we already have our very first protest due to lack of happiness. I don't have a great method of dealing with that right now since I don't have a military, so I'm gonna let that boil over and just hope they spread the good word. And for our next business, I'm going to add, you guessed it, more sugar plantations. Now this might be overkill, but in case we have another pesky protest or we're attacked, I'm going to secure this island with an army base, which will provide us with tanks. At this rate, no one's going to want to live here, and I currently can't stop anyone from leaving, so I need to set up a pirate cove ASAP. This way, we can get more people to move here by force. I was at a population of around 85 to 90, but now I'm down to 65, and that's not good. But we still have some civilians making their trip to their new lives. We also have some civilians that are either too stubborn or not good enough swimmers to join the rest of us, so they might die to natural selection. My military base is still being built, and we have another protest going. This time, I'm going to resolve it by promising to raise fun happiness by 8 within 2 years. I have no intentions of helping that cause, so that'll only make things worse. And that's what I call an investment. The population has been dwindling, we're down to 45 people, and this next move isn't going to make matters better. But there are some fun changes you can make around town, like in the construction office, I can ignore safety regulations, which increases efficiency by 20%, but gives workers a 10% risk of death on the job.
Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to make.
The Pirate Cove is ready, and thank God. I'm going to give this the maximum budget and send the pirates out immediately to kidnap as many people as possible. I mean, rescue people. And here they come just on time. We dropped to a new low of 40 citizens, but they brought in 20 while the freighter brought in 5. So I think we can make this work. We have some trade route offers here, but the only one that currently matters to me is selling rum. And speak of the devil, the Axis power wants it. Looks like we'll be working together for better or for worse. But sadly, I do need to expand my economy, and I have something in mind that will make my life better and my citizens' lives worse. I'll have to cut through a patch of a sugar plantation, which I'm going to try to keep at a minimum, so this is going to look goofy, but we're going to get started on mining gold right next to the volcano. And I know this is going to be a valuable resource that will need protection, and more guns never hurt. So right next door, I'll be placing a second army base. This may seem like it's for the good of the people, but trust me, it's not. I'm going to place my first library near the castle. The library provides knowledge over time, which will allow me to research new policies, laws, and taxes, which will help me keep El Presidente in ultimate power and keep my citizens in restricted poverty. Now, the only major problem I'm facing at the moment is I don't have enough people on the island. Everyone's hard at work, but I have 14 vacant jobs. But not to worry, my favorite human smugglers are back with another shipment of slaves. Yay! Uh-oh, we have our biggest protest so far with 7 people yelling at the human smugglers, and I'm not gonna allow that. Send the military. I was hoping to see a Tiananmen Square reenactment, but sadly, they moved away without any real threat nearby. Although I'm pretty sure every time I do that, people die. The economy of the nation is working really well already. Off rum alone, I'll be making over 10 grand on one trip. Not to make things better, but I can only assume arson is inevitable at this rate, so we're gonna get a fire station up. Big surprise, with a 6% approval rating, the citizens are demanding elections. Not happening. I'll be choosing It's Not a Good Time, which will lose 10 personal experience for every eligible voter, but that won't matter. My rum distillery is taking in a lot of sugar already, with 2,700 out of 7,000 in stock, so I'll be investing into the business with a dunder still and electric stills. The only problem is I don't have a form of electricity yet, but that's a problem worth solving as it will increase efficiency by 20%. So first we'll have to mine coal, which I'm able to do in the center of town. It emits pollution to nearby neighbors. Terrific. And at this point, I think it's worth doing some reorganizing, which ended up being a win, because my front yard human shield is starting to really come together. Again, this game has me by the balls because I don't want to improve the life of my citizens, but they keep dying off too quickly, so I'm gonna have to build a clinic at the benefit of the slaves and myself. And to produce power from coal, we need a power plant. I'd love to emit more pollution in the center of town, but the building is so large it won't fit, and we have this awkward space next to the plantations and bridge, so this will have to do. And in the middle of construction, we had our first natural disaster event, a drought. I was given the option to conserve water for either the people or the businesses. Of course, I said save the businesses. This ended up being a surprisingly short drought of only 4 months, but the important thing is my people were able to see how little I value their lives. We've got another dual demand, this time between the communist and religious. I immediately said no to both, even though I'm already actively rescuing people like the religious people want. And taking a look at the politics on the island, somehow my support went up 6%. None of the factions are too upset with me right now. The capitalists are actually rather happy with me, so we have some work to do. Another issue we have is within the last year, I've lost 17 people to lack of food and healthcare. Healthcare is being worked on, but I did completely forget to feed the people. It's too bad they can't just survive on rum. For now, I'll be building a ranch, and the island I'm on isn't too suitable for much, but the volcano has some yellow zones, which will also stay out of the way of the plantation spaces, so that'll have to do. I'll be setting the ranch type to pig for meat only. Also, by putting it next to the volcano, we'll be endangering animals, so I feel like we're accomplishing a lot here. Oh boy, Tropico is under attack. I hope we're ready for it. Looks like all they have is 6 infantry. We'll see how that matches up against our tanks. Well, I think we can chalk that up as a win, and I'm so proud of our work that I'm gonna bribe one of our tank crewmen. Keep up the good work, buddy. Shortly after, we had another protest, and I love lying to my citizens. So once again, I'll be promising to raise my fun happiness with no intention to do so. We still haven't enacted any new laws, so it's time to put some money into our libraries. I'll be spending $2,000 to increase the efficiency by 25% and also duplicating the building. The broker is one of the people I plan to accept quests from, as he helps me put money into my Swiss bank account, and he has an intriguing offer here. For $1,000 in my Swiss bank account, I have to build a mansion. And I don't think segregation will be a bad idea for the island. However, it's not going to come easy. You'll have to work really hard your whole life in either a plantation or a mine just to live between a military base and a pig ranch, which is on a volcano. The library research has finally paid off. I can add 2 amendments to the Constitution. For religion and state, we could be a theocracy to help with crime. We could be neutral with freedom of religion, or we could be an atheist state. I think we know what we need to do here. And for labor policy, first up is a life's work, which forces people to work from 14 until death. I don't even need to see the other options. They had me at child labor. With 2 rum distilleries, we're starting to be too efficient for our amount of sugar, which isn't a bad problem necessarily. So we'll be adding some jobs to the economy with more plantations. And we're still losing over a dozen people a year to starvation, so we'll be adding a second pig ranch, but this one's going to be in the center of town. The allies are apparently liking what I'm up to. They asked me for an invite to an embassy. For one, that means I might need to break more human rights laws, and for another, no. And right on time, we have some new edicts to enact. First of all, agricultural subsidies. That'll increase the efficiency of my agricultural buildings at the cost of some other things. Building permit, increase the construction cost by 20%, while 2% of each construction is transferred into my Swiss bank account. Hell yeah. Wealth tax? I don't know if people will be rich enough to qualify for this, but I'll take it. We have yet another protest. Not so wisely, it was happening right outside the military base, and resolving it through military action worked pretty well this time. And not long after our last law changes, I can now enable prohibition. People have already been complaining about the lack of fun here, and this will make it even worse while also increasing efficiency of every building by 10%. But that'll be pretty hard to enforce considering almost our entire economy is based on producing rum. And finally, the Axis Powers wants an invite to the embassy. We have to eventually accept one of these to progress in the game, and at this point, this is a no-brainer. We've got another protest occurring, this time right outside my palace, so I think it's about time we hire 4 more personal bodyguards. And of course, they want an election. Of course, I don't care, and with an 8% approval rating, there's no coming back from that. While looking through the edicts, it finally occurred to me that I forgot about the colonial time laws, and there are some real gems here. No free lunch. Citizens need to pay $1 whenever they take food from a production or industry building. More money, less problems. Sign me up. No more shacks is pretty self-explanatory, and with everyone on the island besides myself living in one, I think this is worth a shot. But doesn't look like this works given our current housing situation. These next ones took some research, but they're exactly what we need. Penal colony gives you more immigration at the cost of more criminals. Sounds like an ally power policy to me, but we need all the people we can get. And food for the people is going to help people from starving to death, which has been a pretty big issue here. And as things are getting worse, we have guerrillas attacking. This isn't their best work though, because they have to go right by the military base. Oh, and they're dying before even being shot at. That could be due to starvation. Honestly, who knows at this point? I think these attacks are only going to get worse, so it's time to get some watchtowers. Not only will they fend off attackers, but also they'll discover hidden roles of passerbys and decrease the liberty in the area. The broker has a request to produce fish, and I don't think that's a bad idea. I hate to provide my people with methods of transportation, but I'm getting really tired of losing slaves to starvation. And finally, we can enable some edicts that I really should have done from the start. Advanced boat services are going to make all boat-related services 5% quicker, and Employee of the Month allows mine workers to work double shifts. With the dock bringing in nearly 15k a trip, I think we're good to spend some money on an embassy now, and we're going to invite the Axis Powers for a play date right away. I figured out you can give the watchtowers machine guns, and I think it's time we invest in a few more of these. And by that, I mean a concerning amount more of these. Oh look, a shooting star. Never mind, that's a meteor shower. That's not great for business, but because of it, we'll get a chance to accept more quote-unquote refugees. One of the best purposes of the embassy is we get to beg the superpowers for 20 grand at a time, and we're going to put this handout to work right away because our rum distilleries are coming close to half capacity. With a third distillery, our economy should do really well. I think because our economy is doing so well, people are actually starting to like me, and I'm gonna have to do something to keep them on their toes. The religious and capitalists have become my least favorite group, so we're gonna start off by having both their leaders assassinated. The capitalists have some diehard followers, so they will be dying off too. The religious group doesn't have diehards, but they do have some strong followers. So off they go. And just like that, my island is starting to look like Chicago. There are active shootings on every block. That's more like it. Sister Francesca now has an ultimatum for me. For some reason, she wants a circus. That's a weird ask, but not happening. Oh, and now she's gonna have her people set buildings on fire? Looks like I might be going to war with a church. And now my job is going to be more secure than ever because after I enable martial law, there will be no more elections. And not surprisingly, that's going to piss literally everybody off. After that and the assassinations, I have a religious approval of 0 and a capitalist approval of 5. However, the militarists are really liking what I'm up to, so those might be my people. And these will be some of the last edicts of this era that I want to apply. Belts to bullets will make my military 10% stronger, and audience will trigger 3 demands from 3 factions that like me the least. Now, most of the time, people would use this to improve approval ratings, but for myself, it'll be quite the opposite. I'll be using this once a year just to piss everyone off. The slavery economy is thriving, and it's gonna get even better with 2 more plantations. And now that I've researched everything I need to in this era, I'm just gonna push these libraries to the side as well as the Teamster offices. The homeless people need more space to live on my front lawn. And screw it, the more watchtowers the better. Oh, the rebels had a real bright idea this time. They tried to attack 6 watchtowers with machine guns at the same time. And when they tried bailing out of that idea, the tanks were there to run them over. Financially, things are going great, but I think we can make them better with a few more children in the mines. And with rebels and guerrillas attacking every day now, I can't risk losing these money trees, so this block is going to be protected by barracks and several watchtowers. Sadly, my newspaper and radio station have been contributing to liberty this whole time, but as soon as I figured that out, we turned things around quickly by collecting money and decreasing liberty of all slaves in the region. I think we're entering our golden age now. Our exports are making more money than ever, and my military is showing such strong work that I'm starting to leave tips. I even have so much money now, I can consistently kill off whichever diehard followers I'm not a fan of. The only real issue I'm running into is getting people to work under me. I have a pretty decent population of 262, but still we have 116 vacant jobs, meaning I need to slow down on my growth until we can smuggle more people in. It wouldn't hurt if I could stop them from leaving, but we won't be able to do that until the next era. That time is coming, so I better start preparing for it. First of all, I'm going to start importing sugar to take some pressure off of my plantations and add extra rum to my exports. And next, I'll be placing a warehouse to really prepare for the next era. I know that cars are the highest valued export of the Cold War. It's about 3 times as valuable as rum. It takes steel and rubber to make it, but I don't feel like going through that process, and my rum is making me so much money, I can just buy it and store it in the warehouse beforehand. Now, I expected to lose some money after doing this, but things started to go downhill quickly. I figured out that my second most valuable export on the island, gold, was not getting transported out of the mine, and it was screwing up my entire economy. I tried emergency Teamster jobs, I put a Teamster office next to the mines, I even tried restarting the game, but nothing was working, and after having over 100k in the bank, I was approaching debt. On top of that, I have ultimatums from capitalists threatening my trade routes. I'm still being attacked left and right, but that's just good fun, honestly. It's a pick-me-up if anything. And the volcano's erupting again. Not gonna lie, that one got me pretty good. It hit a gold mine, an army base, and some homeless people. Might have just answered some prayers there. We're now 34 grand in debt, and I have to fix this mine issue ASAP. My next attempt was having the warehouse accept gold for storage, but as soon as I tried bringing it to the dock, it went right back into the mine. Things were getting pretty bad here, but thankfully I still have all that steel and rubber I ordered earlier still sitting in the dock, so I had to sell it for about 70 grand. With my 30 grand surplus of money, I repaired my one working mine, gave my plantations a high budget, cut down the budget on some less important buildings, and because my economy has been doing so poorly, my population hasn't been keeping up with my demand, so sadly I had to take down most of my guard towers. I'm gonna try just destroying this warehouse because that seems to be where all the problems originated from. That wasn't it, but finally the solution to my problems has been found, the Teamster port. Even though I have a perfectly good road within close close range of the dock, it turns out they only want to take this gold out by boat. And this happened just in time because we're going back into debt, so we're going to go for full profitability now by changing the modes of the mines for profitability and pressing pause on half of my faraway plantations so the more important jobs can be filled with my limited population. Oh, just what we need. We're $26,000 in debt, the rum distillery is now on fire, and this firefighter is on break. Even better, a whole Teamster port is protesting. I haven't needed my libraries in a while, but they're both on fire, and yet the guerrillas are still on their way to attack it. I think they just kind of need to see one go in the net at this point, and I can't blame them. They've been getting their shit kicked in. And I need all the people I can get through the human smugglers, but the Axis powers have a demand that I need to complete before progressing to the Cold War. My commando garrison that I don't have needs to sabotage the Allies 4 times, which can't happen at the same time that my pirates go human smuggling. But after some waiting, we are finally out of the gutters money-wise. I'm going to build that garrison in my front yard and send them on their sabotage missions right away, considering World War II should be over by now. And wow, this is a first. The Allies are now attacking with 2 ships. Big surprise, half of them are heading to my already on fire libraries. These troops were a bit tougher than the normal attackers, but the tanks were able to take care of business. The rebel attacks have really been ramping up lately. They were shooting at my palace, my bridges for some reason, and this might explain things. There's now a rebel uprising. Bring it on, bitches. We have tanks. And it turns out one tank can easily kill 12 men. Good to know. We finish our Axis demand of sabotaging the Allies, meaning in 3,600 days we can progress to the Cold Wars as long as we survive. That shouldn't be a problem, but I'm just glad that's over so my pirates can get back to human smuggling. We're down to just 129 slaves. I took a look at my population decline, and the leading cause is emigration. I can't wait to force them to stay here. We also have a lot of death, but between the workplace conditions and natural disasters, that's understandable. And 5 people have been turned into guerrillas in the past year, which as we all know by now is just voluntary euthanasia. These guerrillas chose a bad time to attack. A volcanic eruption started right on top of them as soon as they got there. This time a couple buildings took some hits, but worst of all, this firefighter got fucking sniped in his truck. God damn you, Al-Qaeda! Soon after the eruption, the war has ended and we can finally move into the Cold War, which is where I'll end things today. The 2 new superpowers will be the USSR and USA, and 2 new factions will be added in the environmentalist, who are not going to like me, and the industrialist. And before I can take a final look around, I have to set some new laws. First, on ecology, of course, I don't give 2 shits about the environment. We're gonna go economy first. And separation of powers, very funny. No separation is an easy choice. I can still do whatever dirty deeds I want, but at a discount. Regardless of our high rebel threat and 3% approval ratings, things have worked out around here. My gold mine towns are now fully functioning and will now be able to turn that into jewelry for a higher export price. My only house on the island is in need of repairs and no one's living there. My sugar to rum industry is running pretty efficiently, which I think will turn into us selling cars. My libraries have been completely destroyed, but we can fix that, and I still have a surplus of knowledge on hand to create new laws, such as maybe the most important one to us in the game, immigration, which will force people to stay on my prison island once they arrive. Their only way out of here will be by natural causes or tank. Of course, everyone here hates me, but as long as I have enough slaves, I think I can make this work, and I look forward to it. But that's going to do it for this one. I appreciate you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.